Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Rachel and I am knitting, not right now, but most of the time. And I have quite a bit of knitting in my future because tomorrow, Friday, September 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, my collaboration collection with Cesium Yarn called the Cabin Collection launches for pre-order, and I am really excited to see what all of you get, but selfishly I'm excited to see what I get because I am planning to get a lot of yarn from the Cabin Collection because I know that I want to make a lot of things from the yarn from the Cabin Collection. So for today's video, I want to go through my list of pattern ideas with you, and maybe that will give you some inspiration for what you want to get from the Cabin Collection or other collections from other dyers in the near future. So the first thing that I need to do is grab all of those Cabin Collection skeins. Right now they're on my yarn wall, so I'll just grab those really quickly and we'll meet back here in a minute. While I grab these skeins of yarn, I just want to take a minute and clarify and just really clearly state that this collaboration with Cat and Penny Strickland of Cesium Yarn extends beyond my content creation and my providing the inspiration of my family cabin for them to build a collection. I am also going to be receiving a portion of the net profits, so we are truly collaborating on this and we are both benefiting from this wonderful collection. Okay, I got all 13 colorways. 2 of them are on cones. I tried to crank Craft Nook and Game Cabinet into socks last week, and I did the math incorrectly. So I rewound those socks onto the cones, and I'm going to attempt that again, maybe later today, we'll see. But the rest of the colorways, the remaining 11 colorways, are still in skein form. So my vision is I'll have these skeins handy and I'll pull up the patterns that I'm thinking would go well with different colors and different options and kind of show them off to you. You can see the colors, how they look together, and kind of envision them with those patterns along with me. Now, I will say, I read Reddit, and it is the scariest place in the world. And I know not everybody likes videos where someone is just going through patterns, like going through a list of pattern ideas from Ravelry, because a lot of people think, why do I need someone else to do that for me? I could just sit down and look at Ravelry and do that. And that is absolutely true. So if that is not, if this isn't your cup of tea, just, blessings on your journey, but that is what I'm going to do in this video. So if it annoys you, just stop watching. It's okay. You can just watch something else. Okay. Anyway, so my plan for this video is to walk you through some patterns that I think would be paired really well with colorways from the Cabin Collection. I'll show you the skeins so you can see how the colors work together. And I don't know, I'm hoping that it will inspire you and maybe give you some ideas. So the first sweater, and I have my computer over here to the side, so if I'm looking to the side, that is why. But the first sweater that I would love either to make myself or to see someone make with Cabin Collection yarn is the Cargill sweater by Rebecca Clow of the Crayabe. So this is a dip stitch pattern. It's a pullover. It looks so, cozy and dainty at the same time. And it's just a really beautiful detail. The pattern calls for a few different yarn options, and you can kind of choose your own adventure with it. You could use DK, Sport, fingering held double, or fingering and mohair. So there's a lot of options for you there, and I think it would be stunning in Creator of Beauty. This is a light purple, lilac-y color. There are pink undertones. It's really, really, really stunning. I'm so happy with how Creator of Beauty turned out, and I think it would be gorgeous in the Cargill sweater. If I were making this, I would probably either do Creator of Beauty in fingering held double, or Creator of Beauty with fingering and mohair. Another option that I think would be really, really pretty would be Creator of Beauty on fingering held with marbles on mohair. Now, I only have skeins in the merino sock base, which is the 4-ply 75-25 wool nylon blend. So this obviously is not mohair, but I think on mohair, marbles is going to be really complementary to whatever you pair it with, and pairing it with this really light purple on mohair, marbles on mohair, Creator of Beauty on fingering, I think that will create a really, really pretty kind of almost ethereal look. So that's an idea. And then another option for the Cargill sweater that I think would be gorgeous would be knit up in carpet, which is this really beautiful dynamic layered green. Sometimes it leans yellow, sometimes it leans blue. It really depends on the lighting and what it's being held next to. But I think this would be such a pretty Cargill sweater, either with just, you know, DK or fingering held double or sport, or to add that extra fluff factor to use carpet on mohair. I think that would be stunning. So those are my ideas for the Cargill sweater. The next sweater is also by Rebecca Clow of the Crea Bay, and it's actually a sweater that I myself am making. So when I grabbed all of my skeins of the cabin collection and brought them, you know, to have handy, I left 8 skeins on the pegboard. They look kind of discombobulated in the background, but there are still 8 skeins, and those are 8 skeins of carpet on Cat & Penny's DK weight base. So I've actually swatched for Lanark. I blocked it yesterday. It's maybe like 95% dry, so I'll lay it flat again after I show you this. But it knits up really nicely. It's really rich, really beautiful. I swatched flat and in the round because the Lanark pattern calls for knitting both of those ways, and I want to make sure I know precisely what my gauge is going to be. So once that's fully dry, I will measure out what my gauge is, but it's gorgeous. And my husband actually decided that he wanted something knit up in carpet as well. He wasn't sure what, and I said, do you want a Lanark? Because that's what I'm making myself, and then we can, you know, be cutie patooties and match. And so we are going to be matching in our carpet Lanarks one day when I finish knitting both of them. So I think that the Lanark would be beautiful in carpet. I should maybe backtrack and tell you a little bit more about Lanark. So basically it's a pullover with a front zip that goes, you know, from your neck maybe down to your, I don't know what this is, your mid chest or whatever, and it's knit in half fisherman's rib. So it creates this fabric that looks similar to brioche, looks similar to conventional ribbing, but it's really squishy. It has a little bit more squish than a garment if you were just doing knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one. So really excited about my Lanark in carpet. I also think that the Lanark would look really nice in fixtures, really in any tonal from the cabin collection. So that it could be carpet, it could be Creator of Beauty, it could be fixtures, it could be comfy cozy couches, it could be penny pine cones, it could be grandma's pert. You can't go wrong, but I would love to see it in fixtures and also in comfy cozy couches. I think that these would make really, really nice Lanarks. Fixtures, again, is this orange toned black tonal to match the iron fixtures within the cabin, the door handles and the curtain rods. So it's just this really beautiful deep color, and I think it would be great in that squishy pullover. It just like feels warm and cozy. So fixtures, comfy cozy couches, penny pine cones, all really good options, I think, for the Lanark. All right, next, you probably expected me to talk about this particular pattern. If you've been watching my YouTube videos or following me on Instagram, you know that I've been working on a sheep camp. This is a color work pullover designed by Jennifer Berg, aka Native Knitter, and I'm currently working on one in Treehouse Knits yarn, and it's turning out really, really nicely. There are still some tweaks that I'm kind of slowly but steadily working on before I will consider it wearable and a fully finished object. But I'm really happy with how it's turning out and really excited to have it in my wardrobe. And I really enjoyed the process of knitting it. So I want to knit another one, and there are a few different color combinations from the cabin collection that I think would work really, really well for the sheep camp. So the first is carpet as the main color, this dark green. Focus on carpet, please. I don't matter. Carpet matters. Oh, my stars. There we go. That's better. Yeah. Okay, so carpet as the main color, and then Grandma's Pert as the contrast color. So this would be similar to my purple version, where it's a high contrast, but still kind of in a monochromatic color family. So this is a dark green, this is a light green, paired together. I think that would make a really fun sheep camp. So that's one option. Another option for that same idea of a high contrast monochromatic option would be purple underpants for the main color and Creator of Beauty for the contrast color. Or if you wanted most of your sweater to be lighter, you could do Creator of Beauty as the main color and purple underpants as the contrast color. I think that would be really, really, really pretty. Next, you could also do fixtures as the main color and Creator of Beauty as the contrast color. And again, for any of these, you could switch which one is the main color, which one is contrast color. You know, it's not that serious. There's no right or wrong answer here. You have to do what speaks to you. But when I'm looking at these skeins in person, fixtures next to Creator of Beauty, that really brings out the orangey browny undertones of this colorway. So if you want a color that's going to bring that out, Creator of Beauty definitely does that. And I think this would be a really, really fun, again, high contrast sheep camp. And then if you don't want to necessarily have purple, another great contrast to fixtures would be marbles. This would be fun either as the main or the contrast color, because marbles is not expected to pool. There are so many speckles, so it's going to be a really fun colorway to knit up, whether it's your main or your contrast. And look how good that looks with fixtures. Really, really stunning. Another option I wrote for sheep camp, if you want to have more of an earthy vibe, is penny pine cones, this beautiful honey brown with craft nook. So again, this isn't in skein form, but I hope that you can still get the idea of how well those colors work together. I think they're really, really pretty together. So you could do this for the sheep camp. You could do it for other two color projects. I think they go really well together. And then another combo that I thought of would go well would be comfy cozy couches with craft nook. Don't you think that looks good? It just feels like warm and homey and chill. Just like these colorways are exactly, you know, the vibe and the atmosphere of the cabin itself. So I'm really blown away by Kat's artistic prowess, artistic ability. So those are my ideas for the sheep camp. And the next pattern that I was thinking of, this was actually something that Kat shared with me as a great idea for cabin colorways, and I completely agree with her. and that is the Phases sweater. And let me just double check. But I believe the Phases sweater, yep, the Phases sweater is also designed by Jennifer Berg, aka Native Knitter, and it is a sweater that uses 4 different colors. There's color work in the yoke, and then the main body is pretty much mostly one color, and then there's some, you know, striping details to really bring it all together. I think it's a really fun sweater. And if you're looking for an alternative to Caitlin Hunter, Boylan Knitworks patterns, this has a similar vibe to some of her color work sweaters. And if you prefer not to knit with Boylan Works knitting patterns, maybe check out the Phases sweater. It is really, really gorgeous. So the colorways that Kat identified as really good matches actually match the sample that Jennifer Berg uses on Ravelry for her photos. So that would be fireplace, marbles, pine cones, and fixtures. So the sample of the Phases sweater is very earthy, lots of brown colors that work together. And if you pop marbles in there, it kind of becomes this fun pop of color that's not going to outshine the earthy tones. It's almost like a fade when I hold it up like this. That's really pretty. So I think that set of 4 would go great for the Phases sweater. So check that out if you're interested in that. It's important to stay hydrated, except this is coffee. Anyway, let's keep going. The next pattern that we were thinking is called the Ghost Dancer Shawl. And this is a really beautiful colorwork knit shawl. It's designed by Melanie Berg. I'm not sure if Melanie Berg and Jennifer Berg are related, but Melanie Berg designed the Ghost Dancer Shawl. And we were thinking of this combination of 4 colors for this shawl. So this is like the dream jewel toned combination. Look at these 4 together. So you could do Grandma's Pert for the bottom section, fixtures and purple underpants for the mosaic section in the middle, and then carpet up at the top. This is a really, really, really pretty colorway combination, I think. So that's an idea for the Ghost Dancer Shawl. The next thing I was thinking of, when I think of the cabin, I think of cardigans and, you know, being comfy cozy. It should be no surprise by now. So I was looking at cardigans, and I'm kind of picky about what I don't know, decide to move forward with in terms of cardigan patterns. I feel like I've had to modify one too many cardigan patterns, but also really I haven't knit that many cardigans, so I think it's just in my head. But anyway, I'm knitting the Field Day cardigan right now by Ozetta, also in Treehouse Knits yarn, and I'm really enjoying the process, so I'm definitely open to making it another time. I haven't finished it yet, so I hope I'm not saying that prematurely, but so far I'm really enjoying the process. And there are several different ideas of what you could do with a Field Day cardigan. I'm knitting my current Field Day cardigan in a variegated colorway, and I'm really liking it. So as with all of the tonals in the cabin collection, I think they would be a great fit to get a sweater quantity of to make something really cozy. So for the Field Day cardigan, I would recommend a tonal, but if you want to knit it in a variegated yarn, and that's actually how I'm doing the current one I'm knitting up. I'm knitting it in Treehouse Knits Rory colorway. So if you want to knit it in a variegated colorway, I think that cabin walls would be really, really pretty. But I know for myself, I'm going to get a sweater quantity of this colorway, of Fireplace. I am really happy with this colorway, and I know that I want a sweater quantity of it. So Field Day is one of the options that I am thinking of to knit up fireplace with. So there is an idea for that. Another really good option for variegated would be craft nook. Really like autumnal. There's those oranges and yellows and greens. Really, really pretty. And then another good option would be game cabinet. So again, this is not in skein form, but you can see the blues, the pinks, the creams, the greens. There's a lot going on in game cabinet. And when it knits up, I'll put a clip if I can find it. All of these colors kind of blend together to make it lean a little more blush, a little more pink. So if you're going for something like that, game cabinet would be a great fit. So those are my ideas for the field day cardigan. So when I'm looking for pattern inspiration, whether it's for, you know, a collaboration collection, or if I'm shopping a pre-order just in normal circumstances for me, one of the first things I do is I think back on the things I've already knit and I decide if I would be open to knitting them again. If I really like the end result and I know that I wear it and I enjoy it. I don't know if it's my anxiety or what, but sometimes there's just, you know, that fear before you knit a pattern, if it's gonna work, if it's gonna fit your body, even if you meet gauge, maybe there's something about the construction that just doesn't jive with you. So I like to knit patterns that I know that I enjoy and I know that I get wear out of. And one of those patterns is the Zig by Andrea Mowry. I knit this earlier this year. Cascade Yarn actually gifted me that yarn to knit it in exchange for tagging them in my social media content, which is a topic we'll talk about at some point here on this channel. Anyway, I actually just received yarn from websyarn.com. My mom bought the yarn. They didn't just send it to us, but I'm knitting a matching Zig for my mom to wear in Ireland. So that's my next tight deadline knit. But anyway, all that to say, I knit the Zig this year and I am really happy with it. So I know that I would be open to knitting it again. And out of cabin colorways, there are a few different combinations that I think would look really, really good for this pattern. The first is, I have all of these on a list. I hope you don't think I'm a fraud, but I just can't remember all this stuff. Yesterday I had like a spurt of inspiration and I wrote it all down, okay? Okay, so the first combination is penny pine cones, craft nook, and carpet. So imagine if you had a brown sweater, so the main color is penny pine cones, and then the lighter zigzags are craft nook, and then the zigzag in the middle is carpet. I think that would look really, really nice. It would also look good if you switched penny pine cones and carpet. So carpet is the main color and penny pine cones is the zigzag in the middle between the zigzags of craft nook. I think those three look really well together. Another idea for the zig would be, get ready, purple underpants as the main color. Where is it? Marbles as the lighter zigzag, and then in between the marbles zigzag, put Creator of Beauty. I think that's really, really gorgeous. And again, you could switch the main color and the contrast color. So Creator of Beauty is the main and purple underpants is in between the marble zigzags. So you kind of temper the high contrast by having this marbles in between. And kind of similarly with penny pine cones and carpet and craft nook, you temper the low contrast of carpet and pine cones by sandwiching craft nook in there to really balance it all out. So I think those two color combinations would be really, really pretty. And I hope I get to see someone bring that idea to fruition, because I simply can't knit all these ideas as much as I would love to. So I hope somebody does that. Okay, so the next three projects are not sweater projects. So if you know it's not in the budget, or you just don't have a colorway that speaks to you to get a sweater quantity of, that's totally fine. If you're only planning to get 1 or 2 skeins, here are some ideas. So the first is the deep winter hat, and this is a nice cabled beanie designed by Woolen Pine Designs. It calls for 1 skein of DK weight, so you could do that, or you could get 2 skeins of fingering, kind of choose your own adventure there like we talked about earlier. So I think that any of the tonals, again, are going to look stunning in this 1 skein project. It just depends on the vibe you're going for. If you want something a little bit more, you know, energizing and electric, maybe get purple underpants. If you want something cozy and calming, get comfy cozy couches. So it's totally up to you what you do with these options. Also, if you want a low contrast variegated, fireplace would be really pretty. And I think marbles even would be pretty, because I don't think the speckles are going to compete too much with the cables, but some people have different preferences on that. So if you know you don't love cables on textured, or excuse me, if you know you don't love speckles on textured fabric, then don't choose marbles for the deep winter hat. Problem solved. The next design is also by Woolen Pine, and it's called Cottage Hair Accessories. So Cottage Hair Accessories, I actually tested this and had a great time. I used some light blue Angora yarn and made some pretty hair bows. I gave one to my cousin and I kept one for me. But basically this is a pattern pack that has 2 different bow ties, some like bow clips, some scrunchie patterns, and it doesn't use too much yardage. So with 1 skein, you could get every single pattern knit up, presumably, but you can use any weight yarn. So pick your favorite. My colors that I would pick for my hair color, so this may vary from person to person and what your favorite colors are, but I would pick Creator of Beauty. I think that would be a really pretty hair bow. Or Carpet, another pretty hair bow option. So if you know you're only grabbing 1 skein, those are 2 great ideas, the deep winter hat or the Cottage Hair Accessories. The deep winter hat, like I said, takes DK weight yarn, and for the Cottage Hair Accessories, it's any weight yarn you choose to work with. So have fun with that. All right, so the next idea, you had to know this was coming, right? You just had to. And that is the rat pattern. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I made a rat once and it just caused a whole lot of drama in my life. But anyway, now I'm known for making rats, I guess. So what a treat for me. But here are some ideas of what you could knit a rat up in. Yes, a rat up in. So I think that any sock set would be great for this. The pattern calls for DK weight yarn, but you could use fingering yarn, you could use worsted, you could use whatever, because really the size of your rat doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like for instance, this is my rat that I made in bulky yarn, okay? So gauge doesn't matter, just changes the size of your rat. So whatever yarn weight you want, then go forth and conquer. So anyway, I think that the fuchsia flower and purple underpants set would make a stunning rat. And imagine, if you will, a rat knit in fuchsia flower and purple underpants, and then also knitting like a tutu to go around it that looks like fuchsia flower petals. Or what if you knit a rat in fixtures and then you use the fuchsia flower and purple underpants to make that little tutu? Just an idea. But yes, I think a purple underpants and fuchsia flower rat definitely needs to happen. I think that a Creator of Beauty and Grandma's Pert rat would be exceptional. I also think that a penny pine cones and craft nook rat would be really fun. If you did craft nook as the main color, then you have kind of like a fun scribbly rat with, you know, a brown tail and brown ears and brown toes. So you don't have to necessarily make your rat color accurate to a rat you would find in nature. Make a marbles rat with purple underpants ears and purple underpants tails. Who's gonna stop you? Not me. So anyway, have fun with that. If you want to make a rat, make a rat. Don't let anybody tell you you can't. Okay, anyway, let's go back to sweater ideas. So those last three, deep winter hat, cottage hair accessories, and rats, are ideas for small projects that only need a skein or two. And there are lots of one skein wonders on Ravelry. Hohi Locatelli has a shawl that's really cute. That's a one skein wonder. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's backpedal a little bit, and I want to talk to you about my vision for the ranunculus. Okay, there are a lot of options for the ranunculus, but there are there are three options that I really want to see. The first is Creator of Beauty, because you know I love purple. You know I'm a purple girl. I think this would be really cute. You could do this like in fingering, so it's light and airy and has lots of drape. Another good option for this low contrast variegated would be Fireplace. So that's going to add depth and, you know, some movement to your ranunculus, because there's this shifting from tan and stone to brick red and gray. So there is a lot going on in Fireplace, but not so much that it would, I think, compete with the texture of the ranunculus. So I think that would look really good. But for myself, I am planning to make a ranunculus with cabin yarn, and I'm thinking either penny pine cones or fixtures. And there is this particular ranunculus pattern that I want to model it after. Over the summer, I was working on a version of this in a lavender purple sweater quantity I have, but it's on hold because I messed it up. But anyway, all that to say, I want to try again with this style of ranunculus that's modeled after the project from Gallad Knits. Yeah. So Gallad Knits on Ravelry has this beautiful photo of their ranunculus. It's in like this orange brick red. She's standing in a snowy landscape, and it's a little oversized, it's long sleeved, and it's a turtleneck. So I really want to make a ranunculus just like that for myself, and I think fixtures or penny pine cones are the colorways to do it in. So I just need to choose which of these two I should move forward with for a cozy comfy ranunculus. Let me know in the comments if you see a clear winner of which of these two, fixtures or penny pine cones for that turtleneck ranunculus. I just think it will be so comfy cozy. So one of those two is my plan. Next, we have a pattern that I'm sure you've seen by now. It is newly released by Hohi Locatelli, and it's called the Instant Crush. It's a colorwork sweater knit in DK weight. She achieved this by knitting with 2 strands of lace together, so it's fuzzy on her sample. So you could certainly do that with Cabin Collection yarn, or you could just use just plain old DK or whatever you need to meet gauge. But I was thinking that Creator of Beauty, Carpet, Fixtures, and Grandma's Pert would be a nice grouping for the Instant Crush by Hohi Locatelli. You could sub Fixtures with purple underpants to kind of really lean into that jewel tone. You could even do marbles instead of fixtures and kind of see where that takes you. So I think that looks really good. If you wanted to do a Christmassy theme, you could do carpet, grandma's pert, comfy cozy couches, and fixtures, and that is a beautiful Christmas palette, so something to think about. The next one is also a pattern by Locatelli, and that is the one skein shawl that I just mentioned. So let me pull that up. So this is the Venezia Shaw, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it, but yes, designed by Locatelli, and it is a one skein wonder. So the colors that I would pick for this, I would choose Crafts Nook, Marbles, or Cabin Walls. I don't think Cabin Walls has been getting enough love from me. I'm so sorry. But those would be my 3 picks for that shawl. So again, if you're only going to be able to get one skein and you need to, you know, get the best bang for your buck, that's what I would go for with that one skein wonder. So the next pattern, like with Instant Crush by Locatelli, is one that I'm sure that you have seen. It is the tessellated vest slash pullover. They're 2 separate patterns, but the same concept. And those are both by Andrea Mowry of Drea Renee Knits. So basically for that pattern, you use 1 solid main color yarn, 1 color shifting yarn, and 1 fuzzy yarn to make this really vibrant texture and color shifting fabric. So Kat is actually working on one of these with penny pine cones as the main color and grandma's pert as the mohair, with a 3rd color changing yarn, not explicitly from the cabin collection, for her Rhinebeck sweater, and it's looking really, really good. Here are my ideas of what I would do if I were knitting this myself. So for a sample that looks a lot like Penny's, but you know, a little different, I would choose penny pine cones for the main color, game cabinet for, pardon me, game cabinet for the color changing yarn, and then just like Kat, I would do grandma's pert for the mohair. So I think that would be a really pretty combination. Another idea would be carpet for the main color, game cabinet for the color changing yarn, and again, grandma's pert for the mohair. If you wanted to go in a different direction and have more of a red moment, you could have comfy cozy couches as the main color, Craft Nook as the color shifting yarn, and fixtures as the mohair. I think that would be really beautiful. What do you think about that? And then the final option that I thought of was fixtures as the main color, fireplace as the color shifting yarn. So this is not going to be as dramatic of a color shift. It will be really subtle and really, really pretty, and then have comfy cozy couches as the mohair. So this is going to be not as vibrant of a contrast, but it's going to be a really dark and moody version of the tessellated, and that will look really, really good. I like it a lot. If you're noticing that I'm using carpet a lot, fixtures a lot, penny pine cones, fireplace a lot, I'm really drawn to the to the greens and browns and reds of this collection. I'm really liking them. Okay, let's keep going. So the Great Gingham pattern, you've seen it, you know about it, right? This is by Jessie Made Designs. It is a gingham pattern raglan pullover. You knit the body and the sleeves separately, you join them together, and then you knit the yoke and you end at the collar. So I'm knitting this up right now in Arcane Fiberworks, but it's in timeout because I'm doing a very low contrast version, and it is hard for me sometimes to know which yarn I'm working with at any given stitch. So I needed to give my brain a break with that one, and it's in my, you know, whip timeout corner, and it will be revisited, but I think that we should look at some high contrast options. So a great high contrast would be fuchsia flower and purple underpants. That would be a really pretty, great gingham. It doesn't really matter which one you pick for your main color or your contrast color, but personally I would pick the purple underpants because the purple underpants is a tonal and the fuchsia flower is a variegated, even though it's not a high contrast variegated. So either way, whichever one you choose for the main color, that's a really pretty pairing. Another idea would be crafts nook and carpet. Those look really, really good together. Another idea for the great gingham would be comfy cozy couches and marbles. So that would definitely be a high contrast pairing. Okay, so then another pairing that honestly I would not have thought to pair together. I think Annabeth suggested this. Correct me if I'm wrong, Annabeth, if you're watching. But cabin walls and creator of beauty. I never would have thought to pair this lilac purple with this brown with chestnut and honey, right? But I think they look really good. So that's an interesting combination you could think of. And lastly, since I am working on a low contrast great gingham, and it does look really good, even though in practice it's kind of trying my patience to actually knit it, but the fabric it's making is gorgeous. So if you wanted to do a low contrast, you could do penny pine cones and fireplace. So again, this is going to be a low contrast, but just enough contrast to make it really, I don't know, really layered and rich. So that's something to consider. All right, so the next pattern is the Floating Magnolia Tea pattern by Tina Suh. And I basically picked fixtures as the main color with a few different options you could pick as the contrast color. Basically, the Floating Magnolia Tea works with 2 colors of fingering weight yarn, and it makes it so it kind of has this blended effect, and it looks really pretty. So I think fixtures would be a great starting point to pair a lot of different colors with. I think that it would look really good with marbles, really good with creator of beauty, really good with grandma's pert, and even really good with purple underpants for this pattern. I don't think that you could go wrong with any of those options. So for this pattern, what those pairings are going to do, assuming you use fixtures as your main color, fixtures is going to kind of be the front runner, and then these, whatever your contrast color is going to function to kind of blend it out and lighten it while giving a really nice visual effect. So that's what I would do for Floating Magnolia's Tea. Okay, I think that's a good place to start. I'm realizing now, after all of this, talking to you and, you know, finding patterns, these are pretty much all knitting patterns. I'm so sorry. I know that there are crocheters out there, and in fact, I am also a crocheter, but I guess I just went down a knitting rabbit hole. But the good news is, a lot of these color combinations, you know, they don't just have to be knit up. They would look great crocheted as well. So if you have maybe a granny square pattern that calls for 4 colors, these 4 color combinations that we used for knitting are also going to work just beautifully fine with crochet. So either way, I hope that this video was helpful, and I hope that you got some color combination ideas and some pattern inspiration that you're excited to work on in the future, whether you choose to work on it with cabin collection yarn or yarn from another dyer or from, you know, a big store. There's no wrong answer here. I just hope that I helped give you some ideas. Yeah, I am really excited about tomorrow. Tomorrow is the launch day for pre-orders of Cabin Collection Yarn. So you can get any of the combinations I went over here in this video today in whatever quantities speak to you, whether that is 1 skein or 100 skeins. Does anyone actually buy 100 skeins? I don't think so. That's all I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you at the cabin on Friday, September 1st. I'll be hanging out with Kat and Penny as we watch orders come in, whether it's 1 order or 20 orders. We are so grateful for you and so thankful for your excitement and support over this collection. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel if you don't already, and if you want to be notified of my next upload, hit that notification bell. Last but not least, head over to Instagram and follow me at Rachel is Knitting if you don't already, and that's it. Okay, bye. See you at the cabin September 1st.